Hey, good evening, brothers and sisters, friends, Mormons, and countrymen. To bastardize some Shakespeare. Good evening. Welcome to another Way Up Too Late video, because I don't know what to do at 3 a.m. other than to make a video when I should be in bed. But I've been giving some thought to the Respect for Marriage Act. I remembered the R finally, but the Respect for Marriage Act is going through Congress. And I'm surprised. I did a video on it, one of my second or third videos. I'm up to 5 now. Woohoo! But I was shocked that I got so many views and even some comments. Because I didn't think anybody would be watching me or hearing me yet. I thought I don't know. But anyway, thank you to those of you that responded. I will be reaching out to you and thanking you. But there is so much confusion on this bill. And I'm not going to lie, I don't like it. I don't like the bill. I understand that the church, being the leadership, that they have a belief and I think a hope that this will allow us to keep religious freedom as well as other churches, that we can practice the religion as we feel, as our conscience dictates. Right of conscience, something I brought up earlier. And I'll bring up a lot because it's important to me. Because right of conscience is the precursor to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly. Right of conscience is the agency that God gave to us to act for ourselves and not be acted upon. Excuse me. This video brought to you by water. Anyway, here are the problems I have with the bill. The title, Respect for Marriage. Respectfully, Congress, I disagree. You do not have respect for marriage. You do not understand the institution. You do not know from whence it came. It is divinely instituted. It is scriptural. It is not a government institution. And man, I wish that we had done something to get government out of marriage. This is the great thing about being conservative, is you believe that government should have nothing to do with anything in your personal life. Nothing. And so here I am now, and I'm saying the government does not understand marriage, and so they're saying that that we need to develop a national respect for marriage through this law is laughable. And it is a push that's coming from the left. Now, so respect for marriage. You have to know what marriage is before you can respect it, and you don't respect it because you don't know where it came from. You do not understand its origin. You have this modern 21st century vision on what marriage is, and that is not correct. That is a falsity. Second, without a definitive amendment within the bill, as Mike Lee is pushing for, that guarantees freedom of religion, that religious institutions will not be punished for their views, for their beliefs, for their practices, and for their policies, until there's an amendment protecting each of those things. This bill will not protect religious freedom. It will not. So with all due respect to the brethren, it will not protect because of one simple reason. The left does not know when to stop. This bill is meant to placate the left and help us in our efforts to bend the knee or show fealty to the Rainbow Mafia. It is to make them feel good. And it might for a while, until a gay LDS member is denied the right, R-I-T-E, right of marriage in the church. or until a progressive, nuanced, progressive leader somewhere, California, decides that they'll marry someone of the same sex, because how dare the church stand in the way of love? Because there's some progressive leader out there, some nuanced leader out there who does put faith in the teddy bear Jesus that Elder Holland and others have warned us about. I understand civil unions. I understand that no matter how much the church protests, there will be those people that go, I don't believe in what you have to say, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And as I understand law and government, as I understand it, I don't think we can restrict the union of two souls through partnership. Because we can't discriminate based on sexual characteristics. But marriage is a religious ceremony. It is a religious rite. It is not a government right, R-I-T-E. It is not even a civil right. No one has the right to be married. You cannot walk up to your local policeman or court or judge and say, I demand to be married, find me a spouse. And the government cannot do that. They cannot force someone to marry you. They cannot force someone to do something with you that you do not want to do. Therefore, it's a privilege. Rights come from God. Marriage is ordained of God, but it is not guaranteed. You must find someone that you are compatible with, that you will spend the rest of your life with, and eternity, should you be sealed. But let's face it, marriage is not for everyone. As a guarantee. So the left will say, it's kind of like the bakery. Hey, I'll bake you a cake, but I will not put that message on it. You can take my cake to another bakery and they'll do the message, or you can just go to another bakery, they'll bake the cake and do the message. And the left said, no, we'll take you to court and force you to bend your knee and say what we want you to say. They want to force everyone to think what they think and believe what they believe, and that's why they are working so hard to take over the schools. They've got college, and its tendrils are deep in high school, junior high, and elementary school. And that's why they hate charter schools, and that's why they hate school choice, because you can choose to get out of those things. And that affects their hold on power and their future desires for more power. But the left does not know when to stop. They will come after a bishop, stake president, or temple that does not perform a marriage after this is passed, because they will see it as their right to be married. I do think this has something to do with money. I do think that they'll say, fine, you don't have to marry somebody, but now we're going to revoke your, was it 503C, 50, whatever, religious exemption. And I want you to think what that would do to the church, because of ward buildings, stake buildings, branch buildings, mission offices, temples, conference centers. Think of the taxes we would pay on those things every year, and then the lack of good works that this church could do. I get it. Some people, they may not like the money the church has. They may not think we're doing the right things with it. But all that turns into is a government cash grab because somebody got uppity about how we're treating marriage. The left doesn't stop. The government does not respect marriage. They do not understand it. There are some politicians that understand that this bill is weak and they're standing in opposition, but they're also not enough. And we've got a few sellouts, Mitt Romney, who are going to push this bill because it makes you feel good. I'm pretty sure Mitt Romney was a really good stake president, that he helped people out, that he was very charitable, very loving. And I don't doubt or deny that he's probably with his family a really good man. But as a politician, the man is a coward, or a fool, or a foolish coward, I don't know. And I say that because he marched with Black Lives. He took knee. He undermines first principles and values established within the church at every turn. I want you to ask yourself, when's the last time, if he's a conservative, if he's a Republican, a true Republican, when's the last time he did anything conservative? And see, that's the problem. I want anyone to think of a time when we became more conservative in this nation because of the law. And the abolishment of slavery, by extending rights to the individual, that's conservative to me, recognizing the primacy of individualism. Voting rights to women? Maybe. But please tell me, when's the last time that Mitt Romney has voted for anything conservative? When's the last time he did not bend the knee to liberal or progressive movements and pushes? I campaigned for him in 2008. I voted for him in 2012. I campaigned for him in 2012. And I think he would have been better than Obama, marginally. I think he's one of those ESG guys, the social scoring guys. And I think a lot of our government is that way. And I think by making us bend the knee to these critical theories, to the power bases established like Black Lives Matter, like HRC, that they get us to turn our lives over to them, that they deprive us of our agency. I think it's reprehensible that this bill is going to go through because it will undermine the freedoms of Americans everywhere. Even if you support this bill, it will be used against you at some point in some way when you finally draw a line in the sand. And maybe not everyone, because there are those people who will just never draw a line. They'll just go with it. But I think they look at the title, Respect for Marriage, and they say, gee, respect, isn't that a good thing? Shouldn't we all have respect? No, we should only have respect for the things that are worthy of respect. And that ain't this. That ain't this. And I also don't like the phrasing in the church's statement. I like the opening sentence, the opening phrase. The doctrine, we all know it, and it's unchanging. Nice statement. Wham! Right down the line. Next paragraph. That this can be a extension of a hand of fellowship between those seeking religious freedom and those seeking the right of the LGBTQ to be married. I don't like that the church is acknowledging that as a right. I think they're using the term in the way the world does. I think the leadership probably views it as I do. But I do believe, see, here's where I'm stuck. Who did Christ go to war with when he was alive? Nobody. He preached, he testified, and he set the example. He admonished his apostles to preach and testify and set the example. And I think the church is trying to play a two-way game. I think the church says the world is going to go on this path and we can't stop it. I think they'll continue to preach against gay marriage, against homosexuality, but I think they accept that the world is not going to change because it does not get more conservative or more traditional ever. It simply gets, sometimes we slow the progressivism, sometimes we ramp up the progressivism. And I think the church sees this as it is, and they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. I think they're trying to look like a good guy while drawing a line in the sand, and I don't think it'll work. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope somehow religious freedoms are guaranteed, but from what I read, what I understand, I don't see it happening. I do not see this turning out well. I don't. But I also know that in the last days, it will be like the days of Noah. Great wickedness, deep sorrow, decay, and destruction. And I think the church knows it, and I think they realize that they cannot stop the flood. We can continue to testify against it, but we can't stop it. So I don't think the church is going to stop the government in doing this, because it would bring down the government wrath when it passes. I do believe this is a vindictive administration. Horrible, horrible administration of government for the United States. And I don't think the church sees a way to stop it. And so I do think it's funny, as Quick Show pointed out, that they're willing to respect the rights of the LGBTQ to be married, even though our family proclamation says that marriage is between a man and a woman only. And then at the end, we're like, hey, government, go ahead and do what you do. But then the end of the proclamation is that the church will stand as a voice of warning and counsel governments to respect marriage between man and a woman. There's some paradox here. And there's got to be some nuance that maybe I'm not seeing, or that maybe just doesn't exist. Maybe the church is just throwing its hands up and being like, okay. And they're acknowledging that the world is condemning itself. That's entirely possible. That the church has said, this is where we draw a line. You're condemning yourselves from this point out. That's entirely possible. And tragic. Anyway, that's all for this far too late video. 3 a.m. I should be in bed. I've got church in 5 hours, 6 hours. Well, I've got a 45-minute drive to church anyway. Then I've got to teach the young men's lesson on Micah and Jonah. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Where do you think the church is thinking when they're thinking about this? What do you think? Are they drawing a line? Are they giving in? Are they still fighting? What's your thoughts? Talk to me. Let me know. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Peace out. Thank you.